This is actually just water. I wish it was vodka.
And on that note, hello.
We're on.
Oh, wait, did I even mute it? I haven't yet. Yeesh, hello. Welcome to. Oh, wait, we need to take the moment of like everyone who's just on their phones telling people it's up.
I just tweeted it.
How do I get the chat?
Oh, you just pop out of the video thing. Okay. So we are here today with Jess, Beck, and two guests, actually. So we have Codie from Codie's, oh my God, Book Corner?
Book Corner.
G.
I just blank, okay? And we also have Gavin. I have linked both of them down below. Do yourself a favor, check them out if you haven't already. And we are talking, well, on the second half of the live, we will be talking about Dread Nation, this book. And we also will go through some of your comments from the Goodreads group. But before that, one of my favorite parts is nominating the book for the next time. So let's just go with that. Jess, do you want to start?
Did you say Bex or Jess?
Jess.
Yeah, I'll start.
Similar names.
Yeah. I chose The Poet X. Mostly because I've been seeing a lot of drama going around about this.
Oh,
not
no.
Not about the book. Let me explain. Not about the book, about the cover of the book, because I guess the guy who did the art kind of plagiarized a photograph of the girl, which put the book back into my mind, and I've been wanting to read it for so long. So when I was looking at my shelves, I'll just grab this. But it's about a girl who does slam poetry and then falls in love with a boy, but doesn't really need the boy. It's one of those contemporary stories. That's all I know about it, though, because this is one of those books that's like really highly rated, and everyone says you should read it, and I'm trying not to know too much about it so that when I go into it, it's, kind of blind. But I do know that it's written in poem format. So even though the book is like almost 400 pages, it's all like slam poetry. So I thought it was cool. I thought it'd be, different than like a normal book, even though that's the whole point of this.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry, I'm just at the same time I'm making the Google form so I can post it while this is up. Bex, do you have one for you?
Yes, I went with Contagion by Erin Bowman. I've specifically grabbed it out of my Newts TBR. But it is it is a sci-fi, and I believe they get an SOS message from space that something's happened to the crew that's out there, and they have to go investigate, and I think like they're all dead.
Nice. Spoiler.
It says it in the synopsis.
No.
So this one.
Cool. I actually think I have that.
Is the movie based on that one? Is it the same thing?
Oh.
Is it a movie called Contagion?
I wonder.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I have no idea.
How old is it?
It's fairly newish.
So that can be.
Last year, maybe released last year.
Probably the same thing.
Okay.
I love The Poet X though. I thought The Poet X was really good.
Oh, you have read it already?
Yeah, the audiobook. So good. Apparently. I read it, but I think if I'd listened to it, it would have been a higher rating for me. It was like a 4.5 because I knew that the audiobook would have been better with it being slam poetry.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't great? It wasn't Codie?
For The Poet X.
Interesting. Is it like, how does the audiobook for that work?
Read it like the poetry.
Very interesting. Okay, and then I have picked a new release actually this time. That's the Sorcery of Thorns. I've been basically, it's very reflective. I've basically been seeing this everywhere, and to me it just kind of sounds like Strange the Dreamer a little bit. because it's all about the library and the like grimoires that attack you or something. And like, I mean, to me, that's like sold. I want to try it and see what this is about. So yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. But I mean, that's enough. Okay, so actually, I think I might have the link just now. I will post it in here in the chat for you guys to vote. Really hoping it works.
Am I allowed to vote?
Just that. Yeah, it's fine. It should be fine. So then we can announce that in a couple of days or something. That was quick.
Quicker than usual.
Yeah, there's usually like 10 of us. Side. Jade usually shows off a book with a bird on the cover of it.
Bird on cover.
Jade being on brand.
Oh.
How is everyone doing in the chat as well? Ooh, Nicole is reading Sorcery of Thrones right now. I mean, if you have read the book that we're going to be featuring, that's just like, you know, you did it early and then you can just join the chat. Yeah. I feel like we should just like go into the spoilery bits then. That was very quick. Tired, yeah, I feel ya. It's been like, I feel like universally, it's been a hard Saturday with everyone I've spoken to.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Although for Beck, it is Sunday.
Bright and early.
Time traveling wizard that she is.
I know. Everyone's jealous.
Angela's saying, no bird on the cover, G1 approve. I know. Well, you know, should have shown up.
How dare she move? Have a housewarming party.
Jamie saying, I just finished the 17-hour shift. Whoa.
Oh my god, I hate those. I hate that. Oh god. I hate them.
I'm very thankful you joined us. That is insane. I hope you rest.
Yeah, if I worked a 17-hour shift today, I wouldn't even be here. I'd be like, sorry guys.
I would just be on the floor.
Real tired.
Sunday in the Netherlands as well. True, technically. But to me, it's like if I haven't slept yet, it's not the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way actually.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to move on onto the spoilery bits. So if you have not read the book, this is probably the time to leave unless you don't want to read it and just want to hang, but you know. So this is the warning for the spoilers of Dread Nation. If oh yeah, wait, the next one, like the next date, actually we'll tell you later, because I need to ask everyone. So yeah, let's just go into the book. So as always, I'll just go around asking people to, first of all, just shortly summarize what you felt about the book and also how many stars you've given the book. So, Beck, let's start with you.
Oh, okie dokie. So I gave it a 3.5 stars. I overall really enjoyed the book. But I think for me, the first half was really good. And then the second half just kind of went a little bit off the rails. But overall, it was good. It wasn't great. I still had some issues with it. But I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Codie?
Same rating, 3.5, although it is a reread. And the first time I read it last year, I gave it 4 stars. And then upon reflection, I was like, maybe I've read more books in this genre now, and it's not as good as I remembered it being. But overall, I think it's pretty solid. I like the idea, I think, more than the execution. I think that's my thing with this. But yeah, overall, 3.5, decent book, you know.
Gav?
Well, I gave it 3. And I felt the same way with Beck, actually, because I thought the first part of it being in the school with them learning and training to fight all these shamblers was really good. And then, because I love things to do with zombies, I love horror. So I thought, this would like turn out to be like something like really wicked for me. But then as soon as it did go into this town, it just felt very like, I was a huge fan of The Walking Dead, so it felt very like the Woodbury storyline from The Walking Dead. And it was just so, I don't know, like it stopped being original for me at that point. And then I do have some like other like reasons why I didn't like it as much by the end as well. But just briefly summarize it, yeah, it didn't live up to that expectation after it moved to the west, I think it was, through west. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Cool. Jess?
I gave it 4 stars. I actually really liked it. I didn't know if I was gonna like it because I don't know why going into it I was like, oh, it's a Western kind of. It's like a zombie Western-y. Like the first part of it, like you guys said, isn't super Western, but when they get to the West, it's actually like a Western. But I ended up giving it 4 stars. I liked it. I thought it was like, judging this book, I did it more, which I tend to do for the book club, is on enjoyment of the book. Like, was it fun to read? Not necessarily like breaking down the book totally. So I ended up giving it 4 stars because I really liked reading it.
I think it's quite interesting that we have a group that rated it sort of medium, because this book has been very well loved, so very interesting. And in the chat, I see a lot of 4 stars. Pris has DNF'd it. More to do with her than the book, though, just not for her. That's totally fine. There's another one for 5 stars. Jamie is saying, I would have rated it better, but I needed more of the secondary characters. Most of my issues could be resolved in the sequel. Oh yeah, there's probably a sequel this year, no?
Yeah.
Cool. Are you guys going to be reading that?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
gonna get a copy from the library probably.
same.
This one gave me so many mixed feelings. I felt like the dialogue was a miss for me. Oh, interesting. Another 4 stars. I agree that the second half going off the rails. I did enjoy it overall, though. Amber is saying, I hate zombies, but I actually really like this one. That was my worry from the very beginning, because I am very much not into zombies. I just have never really consumed a story about zombies that I enjoyed. But I basically read 50 pages of this book, and then I have stopped reading this, but it was nothing to do with the actual book. I just couldn't read it in an objective manner. I do go into the details in the vlog. I really don't want to bring it here. I'm just going to sort of mediate and read your thoughts. But I'm really happy to see that a lot of people from the chat, it seems, had a really good time with it. And some people say that they did not expect to like it, but they did. And I think that's really beautiful, because whenever I go into the book expecting something kind of and then end up really loving it, like that's always such a win for me. Maria gave it 4.25. Very nice. Bunny saying 4.5. Not an especially big zombie fan, but I love horror and I love fighter women.
I can't believe Bunny and I agreed on a book for once.
Do you guys agree?
We always disagree with them.
Wow. Becca is leaving. Bye, Becca.
Bye.
Good night.
Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, shall we go into the few categories then? Should we start with characters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let's go do the, liked, disliked first. Let's start with the positives. What were the main points that you enjoyed about this novel? Codie?
For me, I think I've read a lot of books with zombies, so I was kind of like, the first time I read it, I really expected it to be full-on gore and gruesomeness, but it's actually quite character-driven. and I love the relationships, and I love the character developments. Like sometimes, like at the beginning, you get a little bit of like, oh, it's going to be girl on girl hate, no, and then by the end, you have that relationship start to blossom. And I love Catherine. Like, I know you're not talking about the characters, but that was like one of the main things that I liked was Catherine's character. And yeah, I just thought it was just a really, really interesting idea as well, like this alternate history. I just think it was a really, really interesting concept. And yeah, I was really like, when the first time I read it, I thought it would be full on zombies, but I like how much you're in Jane's head. I like how strong she is, but also she has her flaws. She's not a perfect badass female character. You know, she has her things that you're like, oh, Jane, you shouldn't really be doing that. Yeah, so there was quite a few things that I liked about it, honestly. Like, yeah, I know I've kind of dropped it a little bit from the first time I read it, but I think I just have more to compare it with now. But yeah, I think mostly just the character development, the relationships that end up being formed, and also the pacing. I quite like the pacing. I know some people said that it was like really, really good at the beginning, and then they didn't really like the change in direction. But I quite like the pacing. I know, but then there's also the opposite end of the spectrum. People are like, oh, it was a bit boring at the beginning, but then it kind of kicks off towards the end. But I think it was quite a good pace throughout. Like there wasn't any parts where I felt like I was bored, or like I was like, oh, I can't be bothered to pick this back up, or anything like that. It was, yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot to like about this one, I think.
Nice. Was it like pretty action packed?
Not as action packed as I expected it to be, with it being a zombie book. There's not as many like fight scenes or anything. There's really not that many. There's like a kind of like a big like climactic scene towards the end, and then it just kind of like shuts off before we get any of that. So obviously that's going to come in the sequel, hopefully. And yeah, it's not too action packed. It is quite. There's a lot of dialogue. I find like there's a lot of interaction between characters, and I like that. Yeah, and it doesn't draw out the action scenes too long either. Like sometimes I find like you get like action scenes for like 3 to 4 pages. This was quite quick and swift, I found. So yeah, I wasn't bored. I wasn't like skim reading any of that. You know, because sometimes in action scenes you're just like, okay, I just want to know what's going to happen. Like, does anyone die? But it was fine.
That is very true. Sometimes authors just really get into that action. Not gonna lie, that's pretty much the only things I skip in books. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to know every muscle that moves when you swing a sword. Jess, what did you like about the book?
My favorite part about the book is actually the alternate timeline aspect of it. So like, I've always been a huge fan of history, and this portion of history that's represented in the book is actually my favorite, one of my very, very favorite times in history. So that part of it I actually really liked, like getting to hear, you know, like little nods to like our history in their like rewritten history for the book. And then Catherine and Jane's relationship is like easily my most favorite. And then the only thing that I didn't really see coming was a little bit of the betrayals in the book. And I actually liked that because I'm not often surprised anymore when I read stuff. Like I think I've just read so much that I can kind of like pick out things that I can kind of tell are about to happen. So this is one of the first books in a long time that I've actually been like, oh shit, like that actually happened. I can't believe it. So I really like that aspect of it too. But this is more for me like a character-driven book. And I think for me, the characters were done pretty well. Like I really, really like Jane. For some reason, I just really, really like, she's probably one of maybe 5 female characters I can name that I really enjoyed in a book. And you guys know that's like really a really, really hard thing for me to like find. So she was like top of the list for me. I really, really enjoyed her.
Was she your favorite character then?
In the first part of the book, I would say yes. In the second half of the book, no.
Oh. Actually, can someone tell me what happened?
Oh yeah, I guess we should break it down for G.
Please.
Let's all spoil G.
Yes.
Who's gonna
And
do
then
it?
no one wants to spoil Jade.
Yeah.
I'm now trying to remember.
Someone spoil her. Everyone goes quiet.
What
Well,
happened?
just since you're talking, just give it to me.
Me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Jane and Catherine go to this school where they are trained to basically work for, I'm going to be really blunt about this, rich white people in the zombie apocalypse. And they are primarily Black. And it's because they are believed, along with Indian people, to be, I don't want to say, I never really figured out if they were like unable to be bitten by zombies and like turn like normal people are. And they are trained at this school to become like babysitters basically for these people. And part of the way through it, they go to a medical convention where this doctor is talking about how he figured out a cure, not a cure, but basically a way to, if somebody's bitten, you can give them this thing and they are not supposed to be transforming into zombies. Well, the guy does, and all hell breaks loose. And in the process, they get the notice of, is he like the governor or something of the town that they're in? And basically that governor builds a Shangri-La essentially for other rich white people to live in the desert. And Jane and one of the girls she's with, and then also this guy that she sort of likes, that whole thing really pissed me off, they were basically kidnapped and sent there to work there. That's basically what the story is about. So the second half of the book is them just trying to escape. I don't even remember what it's called anymore, the place that they were at. It's a pretty basic story. What's it called?
Summerland.
Summerland. I kept wanting to call it Neverland. I'm like, that's not right. That's not Neverland.
Kidnapped them to Neverland.
But that's like very, very basically like what the story is about.
And how did it all end? I'm assuming they escaped.
They're about to, or it seems like they're about to. Like the whole way through the book, you get letters as chapter headings from Jane's mother, who's white. And then we kind of find out towards the end, like they've kept the letters from her, and then she's been given the letters at the end, and it's like she finds out that her mom's in California. So she's like, come on, Catherine, we're going to California. And I'm guessing that's where the sequel's going to go. And we also have some like nice little twists where we find out that her mom is actually white passing. So that was a pretty good twist, I thought, when I first read that.
Yeah, especially since Catherine the whole way through the story is white passing too. Like when they get there, she's like, "Oh, I'm basically like her caretaker," and Catherine's like, "No, you're fucking not. Don't say that." Catherine in the second half of the book is easily the best character.
Yeah, I agree.
Is this swap perspectives or something?
No, it's still told from Jane's perspective, but when they get there, Catherine's so fair-skinned that Jane claims to be, I forget what they're called, but basically claims to be taking care of Catherine and protecting her from zombies. So Catherine gets to live in like a big house while Jane has to go and stay with like everybody else. And so when you find out that Jane's mom is actually also white passing, that's why it was such a big deal, because that was basically, you get to hear all of Catherine's story through all of it, and then you find out Jane's mom is the same, so it was pretty cool. But,
cool. Thank you for that. Gav, what did you like?
I did like a few things, not a lot though. I did like the characters. I liked Jane for the first half, like Jess said, and then Catherine, like for the last half of the book. So the characters were really good. The action, there's not a lot of the action pieces, but the ones that are there were really like enjoyable, I guess, because like there was the one at the start where, you know, the first sort of Shambler incident happens where it's, you know, in that sort of theater room, and that all hell breaks loose. That was really good. I enjoyed how exciting that was. And as well, sort of when they go to the west, when they're patrolling the wall, and Jane saves 2 people from being bitten, but they turn anyway, kind of thing. And I really enjoyed those aspects of it. So there wasn't that many of them, but I did enjoy it when they were there. Gosh, what else did I like? Yeah, because I did like Jane, but yeah, I did like Catherine. It's really hard because I don't know what I like anymore.
It's like I didn't like anything.
Reading, taking my reading back.
No, I did. The writing style was, you know, easy to read, so I breezed through it. It was like, it was enjoyable to read. But I did also enjoy the religious aspect of it, because we have Pastor there as well. He's a very creepy, scary character in it. And that was like quite like it just had this undertone to that part of it where they're supposed to be safe in Summerland, but you have the people inside it who are just quite effed up in a way, and it's just like seeing how that they're supposed to be safe but they're not. That kind of like unsettled me, and that's the feeling I like to read in a horror-ish book like this.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still have a lot of things that kept me from really enjoying that part of it as well. So everything I liked, there's a reason why I dislike it as well. So that's why I'm in the middle of the road, 3 stars for this one.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Beck?
I think everyone did a really good job of saying what they liked. So I'm probably just going to repeat. But I think, yeah, the characters were probably my favorite part. I loved Jane. I loved Catherine, like everyone said. I think they were great characters. I also liked the plot. I think it was unpredictable in parts, but there were still a lot of issues. But I won't go too detailed because everyone else already covered it, basically.
Okay, let's go. Do you want to just like tell people what you didn't quite like then?
Sure. We'll just keep on the plot trend then, shall we? So, you know, I liked the plot. It was unpredictable, but I felt like in the end, the zombie aspect, the shambler aspect, was the only thing like driving the story forward. Like if they were like, oh, I can't get out of this situation. Oh, zombie attack, we're out of the situation. Sort of, it's like the only thing that pushed it forward. There was no, like the main character, she was badass, but she couldn't get herself out of situations. She was like, oh, we'll wait for this to happen and then we're good. And that's what kind of really annoyed me about the story. It felt, especially at the end, like the only thing that got them out of their situation was that there was a shambler attack. And then that was it. And it was frustrating.
So it was just basically things that the characters did not control at all, just like situational?
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Bunny said the horrible people at Summerland were stopping the people from killing the zombies for no good damn reason, and then there's a giant horde that kills everyone. Hey? Does that like happen? Why?
Where did she say that?
I'm like, wait, what did she say?
That was like quite like up because I didn't scroll with time. But that sounds like something that would possibly annoy me. A lot of people are saying that the twists were good and they were not expecting them. That's always a plus in the book.
I just didn't find it that much of a twist, though, the whole Jane's mother passing for white. I just didn't really... It happened, and I was just like, okay. I just didn't get it. But I didn't.
So what you didn't like then?
What did I not...
I'll have more of an answer for this one, I imagine.
Everyone get comfortable.
Right, everyone get a cup of tea. So I guess when I'm reading something like this, like something that's kind of atmospheric or horror, I expect to be a bit more immersed in that world. And because it's told in Jane's Jane's perspective kind of thing, and we didn't really get that much of the world or even that much detail around it. I don't like too much detail because it does bog things down, so I'm a bit of an enigma there. But at the same time, I do want a little bit more. So the entire Shamblers thing, which is the main thing that we need to fear, I wasn't ever really scared of them. They didn't ever seem like too much of a threat. And I think that's because Jane was such a strong, capable character. She like would be able to cut everybody down, whoever came into her way. So I never felt like scared for the characters. I knew that because Jane was there, they'd automatically get out of the situation. And like there was a moment where I was a bit scared for Catherine towards the end, and when it was that sort of shoot off in the sheriff's place. But like nobody like we cared about ever really got hurt. There was a moment where I think it was Jane's love interest was dead, but he wasn't. People just said he was, and he turned out not to be later on. But I never believed he was dead. So that was like, it was kind of like a plot device that went nowhere, just out of sheer convenience and just to get him out of the picture for the time being. But also, like, I do love Jane, but she really annoyed me as well because she would keep judging Catherine a lot, and she would make so many assumptions like about her. And
yeah, I only read 50 pages, and even in those 50 pages, there was so much girl on girl hate. So that was good.
it does improve. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Jane and Catherine do become really good friends. But even in just Jane's own mind, she is like, oh, she's so pretty. She is like so beautiful. Like, why can't I be like her? Like things like that. It seems like a lot of admiration, but like a lot of the times with Jane, she would make it so that all it seemed like was that Catherine was just there to be pretty, or like that was her only service to this world. And it led to Catherine snapping at Jane at one point where Catherine was like, I don't want to be a housewife. I don't want to just be married off. I want more than this. And like Jane made that assumption about her all the way through, kind of thing. So I did enjoy the fact that Catherine, you know, put Jane in her place. But for a book like this, like a zombie book, I love like zombies and things like that. I never felt scared, and that's really upsetting and the main draw for the book. And it just
I wonder if it's because of the audience. It's YA book. I wonder if there's actually a scary YA book out there. You know?
I don't think I've actually read a really scary YA one.
Although, to be fair, I read The Call, and that is a YA. And excuse me, some of the imagery from that book still haunts me to this day. Okay.
I'll write that one down. I've not heard of that one. I'll write that one down.
Yeah, write it down. There's a sequel as well now that I need to get to, but like...
I totally get that though. You can't have it like, too gory, and I don't mind it when it's not too gory. But even just the Shamblers, like,
I mean, it's pretty gory in that one, dude.
Yeah.
It's Irish as well, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
Which is where I thought you were from, but
everyone does.
I was just laughing when you were talking, not at what you're saying, but at people in the chat. Now Gavin's down to the 1 star, so 0 star for Gavin. He'll retroactively DNF it. So retroactively DNF it is like, that should be a thing.
What's my Goodreads? And then
like a new status, retroactively DNF'd.
Yeah, I probably had more things I didn't like, but those were my main issues with it. So,
I mean, it sounds like you read quite a lot of horror books to compare it with.
I guess, yeah, but it's unfair for me to compare adult horror with young adult horror, I guess. I haven't read...
Is it actually pitched as a horror? I wonder.
Maybe not so... Is it?
Well, like, I suppose when people see zombies, you just kind of go to that.
Yeah, zombie novel and things like that. Harrowing. Like, I didn't find it harrowing. Like, those people dying. It wasn't harrowing at all. But yeah.
Maybe it's more like psychologically more about the race than the zombie part that is terrifying, because it is.
Yeah.
That's right. But still, I wish it had have just been a bit more scary for me. It needs to impress me, and it didn't. Sorry.
Jess, what were your least favorite bits? What criticism?
My biggest criticism of this book is slightly controversial.
Oh God!
Shut up. So, okay, how do I say this? Red Jack was handled very badly. First off, that was done really badly. Like, even before I knew about other stuff that I found out later from the author, I thought that was just done very terrible. Also, after reading it, I sort of picked up on some stuff, and I went to kind of dig into it a little bit. There's supposed to be representation in this book. I'm doing the air quotes because there's not. So Catherine is supposed to be ace, supposed to be asexual, never actually explicitly talked about. Also, Jane is supposed to be bisexual, never explicitly talked about. And the defense of people who are defending that, or the author defending it, is because it's based on the era. And I found that really lacking. You're writing a completely fictional historical retelling about zombies, and you can't make people actually gay in the book. Like, it really bugged me.
Yeah, plus the internal monologue could always
you can put it
to be explicitly said in the actual setting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, people are recommending this book for good rep, and it's like, okay, Catherine on one hand just very minutely says, oh, I'm just not really attracted to people like you are. And Jane, on the other hand, is also like, I'm just attracted to both. And it's very briefly mentioned. And it really upset me because it probably wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't for the poor handling of Red Jack, because it felt like a lot of things were handled very badly in that way. And a lot of, by the same token, to try to make up for it, oh, we'll just put a little bit of rep in here. But the rep was done really badly. It makes me feel like, for this book, she could have done so much more, and it felt like trying to placate people and really trying, I don't know if it's like her first novel or whatever. I know it's like the first one I've ever heard of from her, but it made it seem like she was just trying to get more people to read her book. And every time I see it on lists and stuff, it's always about alternative books, like horror books or whatever, that have rep in them. And this book does not. Saying a character is ace and saying a character is bisexual is not the same as giving them actual rep. So I feel bad for people who are coming to this book expecting all of that, when it's like, even people in chat, even people who read the book are like, wait, Catherine's ace, Jane's bi? Like, it would take so much digging to actually figure that out. Like, the only reason I picked up on it is I just did the Read Your Gays readathon, so I was like in that mindset, reading it at the same time. And then it popped up and I was like, oh, I can catch on the subtlety here. But the fact that it was subtle really, really pissed me off. And just Red Jack, like, it was just, oh God, it was handled all so badly, like so badly.
It wouldn't like bother me if it was subtle, if it wasn't actively pitched as something.
That's what really got me, because that's why when I first read it and finished it, it was at a 4.5, because I did not like how Red Jack was handled, although some of it is historically accurate. I thought that was done really poorly. And then when I started looking more into the book, just seeing what people thought of it, I started seeing it on these lists, and I was like, oh, hell no, this should not be pitched as something that's important to the LGBT community, because it's not. It doesn't have any of that in it. Saying somebody is not the same as actually making the character gay, like actually giving them active rep. And I don't know, that just really upset me, as you can tell.
Grinded your gears.
Yes, very much so. It seemed really, if you're going to do something and you're going to say something and you're going to allow yourself to be on those lists and you're going to tout yourself as somebody who's all about inclusivity, actually do the thing. Don't half-ass it. And don't, sit there and be like, oh, well, I said that this person is ace, so I'm great. Like, no, you're not J.K. Rowling. You can't just retroactively make everybody fucking gay. Like, no, it really upset me, as you can tell. That's what I didn't like about the book. And I could probably give it a 3.5 because of that, because the more I talk about it, the more upset I get. But I mean, I still overall enjoyed the book. I just wish that would have been, if you're going to do it, do the damn thing. Don't just do it kind of. So that really upset me too.
It's the tick boxing of this century, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm down to 2.5 now, genuinely.
Oh my God, I feel like that always happens. We go live, and after we all speak, like the ratings change as either higher or lower.
I'm about to get on Goodreads. Hold up.
I obviously didn't read the book, but to be fair, I did think that the idea was interesting and is quite thought-provoking with that level of segregation and unfairness. But I did read a lot of reviews that stemmed from the footnote and just doesn't really slide well with me, but that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
Who do we have left? I feel like I asked 3 people. Codie, was it you for the favorite bits?
Yeah. So same thing with Jess. I read it last year and I did not even slightly pick up on the bi or ace rep in this. So reading it for the second time, I was like, oh, okay, that's surprising. And I just feel like there was, they literally have her talking about how she's bi because she kissed someone at school. Like, I wanted a kiss in the book. I wanted her to show, I don't see why there needed to be 2 male love interests for her. I wanted that. If you're going to make somebody bi in a book, please let me see it. Don't just tell me, show me. I think that Jane and Catherine could have been a great couple. I mean, obviously Catherine's ace, so maybe she possibly wouldn't feel romantically attracted to Jane. But I think that was kind of a missed opportunity, because it would have been a little bit of a hate to love, and I kind of like a hate to love. But yeah, that was a bit annoying. And like you said, like she doesn't say that she's ace in this. She just says, "But I don't feel that way about anyone, Jane. I never have, and I'm not sure I ever will." And that's
That is so ambiguous, though. That can mean 100.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's really ambiguous. Like I missed it the first time I read it. And also upon the second reading, because obviously I knew where this was going. I knew the plot twists and everything. But I feel like there was a little bit of a lack of world building, because you never really found out where the zombies originated from. And when I read like something dystopian, something horror, I'm a little bit of a greedy bitch. Like I need to know, where did it start? Like, even I get that the science isn't good because of the time, but there's a little bit of that at the beginning of this book, and I wish it would have veered more into that a little bit. Like, we have this Gideon character, and all he really does is talk about electricity, and he says he has this vaccine, and then it's just never really spoken about again. It's like, well, does it work? Does it not work? Because that's never cleared up. Because he's like, oh, I'm going to give you this vaccination, Jane. And then obviously we never find out if it actually works or not. Like, it's really unclear. And also, what about the rest of the world? We find out nothing about the rest of the world. It's all centered in the South. Like, what about... I mean, I know obviously it's going to be a sequel, so maybe it's going to go into that. I just wanted more. So
I don't know UK.
I don't like
want to know if we're safe.
No, I don't like books that have like so much is unanswered and you can tell it's because they want you to read the second one. Like, that's fine, but you need to give me enough of an answer in this book to, because if I'm one of those people that if you leave it too open, I'm like, fuck it, I don't even care. But like you have to answer some of my questions that I've had this entire book, because I sat down to read a 400-page book. I didn't sit down to read an 800-page book essentially over 2 books to get the answers that I've had since the beginning of the first one. Give me the answers, and then give me new ones at the end, like new questions at the end of this one. But it was
exactly.
Maybe I'm sitting at a 3 now. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like I'm like a book to you.
I'm over it. I'm not reading the second one. I've decided.
I'll get with the negatives and then moved on to positives.
Yeah.
For the next time. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you could just answer a lot of questions at least halfway, the questions from the beginning, and then introduce the new ones. Even end on a cliffhanger if you want people to be like, oh my God, I need a second one now. And I think if all the questions were asked and none of them were answered, I'm kind of glad that I didn't get into this book then.
Yeah, I don't think anything
would drive me nuts.
Can anybody name anything that you discovered at the beginning of the book that was then later answered in the book?
No.
Yeah, see, I'm not reading the second one. I'm like boycotting it now.
Oh, no. I don't like the beginning of the live. Just is like, I really liked it. I'm gonna read the second one.
My defense, I said it
with us grumpy people, and she's like, no.
What?
I feel bad. I'm sorry, Jess.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay, let us move on to something
positive.
Either positive or at least like just neither. So we talked about the characters and we talked about pluses and minuses. What about the plot? Because as I didn't read the book, but I did read a lot of reviews. So I went and read the Goodreads reviews, and a lot of the criticism, if it didn't stem from the author's behavior and then the author's note, then it would mainly talk about the lack of plot. So how do you guys feel about that?
Somebody said what plot in chat?
That was basically people saying that there was no plot.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I love about this book so much was the characters, because the plot was very like, what's happening? Like, why is this happening? What's actually happening? And none of it really worked with itself. But it was also like one of those plots where like you're in this place and something's happening, and then we're just going to completely remove you and put you in a new place halfway through the book, and it's like, wait, hold up, like no, stop. But I think that's why my rating is going down, because my favorite part of this was the characters. So the more I think about how flawed the characters are, and not in a good way, because I like flawed characters, there is no plot to this book. Not really, or at least not an original enough one to make me want to keep reading. Like a zombie vaccine is not original. Like, it's just not.
I mean, the setting is original, I think. It's very out there.
But it's historical. It's really, like for me, somebody who like I like that time in history. I've read so many like books, like autobiographical, you know what I mean? Like I've read so many like history books about that time. It's not that new for me in a way. It was like going to somewhere familiar, which is why I was able to kind of ignore the plot a little bit and like the world building issues, because I already know, I could kind of visualize because I know so much about it. But like the characters are what drew me in, not the plot at all. The plot, there's so little plot that nothing's answered throughout the book, because even the author doesn't know what the plot's supposed to be, I feel like. I hate this book. I especially hate this book.
We have a couple of things to make us all feel better that were answered apparently. So we know why the father died.
Yeah, but we didn't care about him. We didn't care about him.
I was just happy when they finally were like, "This is why she killed him." Like, yay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Then we learned why her letters weren't being answered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was like halfway through the book. It wasn't like a big revelation towards the end. It was just like, oh, she's in California. Cool.
Yeah. We've been taking your letters, you're not getting them. Oh, okay. It was like, yeah, right when they got sent to, what's that?
Summerland.
Not Neverland. Okay, Summerland. Right when they got sent to Summerland, they were like, oh, by the way, we betrayed you and I have all your letters. But the real kicker is she gave her the letters after the fact. She's like, I kept all these letters, but I'm not going to be that big of a bitch. I'll give them to you now. Like, why?
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for the plot other than, by the way, I'm in California.
Yeah.
I need to stop talking. I'm gonna I hate
It all just felt very convenient. They were all the plot literally was very like, oh, we're just going to have all this stuff happen to you, and then towards the end you're kind of getting invested because you're like, okay, Jane's got a plan. She's got a plan. She's gonna go kill him. Yeah. And then it's like it gets to that point and it's like, oh, she doesn't need to. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she does actually end up killing him, but it was like there was a zombie horde anyway, so she could have escaped anyway. So it was just kind of like, well, what was the point then? Yeah.
Did the zombies like end up killing someone? Like, was there any like, I want to say battle, but that's a bit of a weird word for this.
It was actually towards the end, I guess, when they hired Jane to help all of the people who were on patrol to stop this horde because the wall came down or something. Like the wall came down. So there was like a little battle then, but then because Jane was like is that amazing and that good, there wasn't really any big casualty kind of thing. And then what I found, like, I was wondering, like, why did the wall come down? That wasn't answered, really, because, like, it's supposed to be such a strong wall. It was, like, a more sinister undertone to that, but it was never developed. And I would have loved to have known if somebody had sabotaged it or, you know, like somebody was, like, trying to kill everybody. You know, that would have been really awesome.
I feel like there's, like, missed opportunities. I haven't read it, obviously, but I feel like
So many.
You will. But yeah, there was that one battle at the end, and then all the horde came in anyway, and everything that they built in this book just was for nothing. So like all the stuff that happened with Catherine, all the stuff with Jane, kind of getting into the society, and Jane's plan, she didn't have a plan. Let's be honest, she didn't have a plan.
No.
But yeah, it just seemed like all for nothing, which I guess I'm going back to The Walking Dead here, but because they move from place to place every time something happens and then they have to like go somewhere else. It was the same thing here, but there wasn't enough like development in that place for me to care about it. So that was just my issue with like that lack of plot. Was that even though we do have these amazing characters, there wasn't anything happening in this town to make me want this town to succeed or thrive, because I knew that the main characters were going to be fine anyway. So, like, what am I reading this for? Kind of thing.
The most, I would say the most, like, memorable zombie thing that happens very early on in the book. And it's when Jane first comes to, or is old enough to be, I don't know if she's at the school. See, I'm already confused about the plot. But she's on a plantation, essentially. And her and the younger kids, there's, like, two...
That's the flashback. I read that bit. Ooh.
Yeah, that's like the best part of the entire book because it hurts. Like, it's like a little boy. That was like the best. I feel like that's the thing that Justina sat down and wrote and was like, okay, this is great. I'm going to base an entire book off of this like one chapter that I wrote. So it's like you read that and then you get into it and you kind of get invested and then you're like, well, fuck it. Now I got to read the rest of it. But like that part right there was hands down the best part of the book for me, because it was like, it showed the characters and it was actually kind of gory in a way because it's a young boy and it's a zombie. It's like the first time you get to see him. But I felt like that scene was done really well.
Yeah.
For the rest of the zombie scenes, I was like, why? I could just watch the show.
Like, the guy poking was not the one that was bitten then.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ooh, that's a big yikes.
I think his name was Zeke as well. So I remember his name because I really enjoyed that scene, and I enjoyed the fact that that was like such a shocking.
Yeah.
I cared about him in a little way because he seemed nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the only surprising or like, something I cared about.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was
It's
definitely
interesting how
characters.
characters, even though they're not written about in a like extensive manner, is literally just like a couple of pages, and you're invested more even than
Yeah.
other characters that take the whole book, which is in many books, you know, that happens. But interesting, and a lot of people in the chat are talking about how they found the preacher more terrifying than the shamblers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's because religious fanatics are terrifying
To be fair,
and very, very real. Zombies are not real. Religious fanatics actually exist, and they are terrifying.
true. And they said that the way the preacher died was amazing, but like I don't know how he died. So
yeah.
It was really weird because it was during that horde at the end, and then they were all just standing around talking as people are screaming outside, and you're just like, I'll be overrun any second now. And then I think Jane shoot him or something like that?
No, I think the sheriff accidentally shoots him because he's gonna kill Catherine. Then Catherine goes limp, so the bullet goes awry and it hits his dad, who's the preacher.
Which was Karma, instant Karma. That was good.
I wish this book would have been written by somebody else.
Yeah. Right?
I feel really bad saying that, but I'm interested enough in the story that if she would have kept the same writing and like actual thought and backstory, I feel like this could have been like one book, maybe.
Maybe you should read the second one because maybe she has improved.
Don't tempt me.
I just want a happy ending.
Don't tempt me.
I'm gonna quickly look at the results so far. I'm obviously gonna post this like elsewhere as well, but so far I'm gonna check what the voting is for the next time. I love that it's in a pie chart. I
need to do these on days that I have off, so I'm not so like up here, like when I'm in chat. Just be like a little more down here.
You'd be awesome.
I'm like very feisty today.
Are you allowed to vote as well? Am I allowed to vote?
I voted.
You voted?
I voted for my own damn book.
I haven't yet.
I don't own the other two, and you guys need to stop making me spend money.
I agree. But yeah, so currently it's 16% for Contagion. 90. Ooh, just changed to 18. Ooh, exciting stuff. To the Poet and 64 for Sorcery of Thorns, but I will say that not a lot of people have voted yet, so this might change entirely.
Is it all of us voting for our own books? Is that what's happening right now?
No, currently it's like 37 responses, and then we'll post it on Twitter later and stuff. Although I don't want to post it too many times because I want it for people who actually are participating to vote, you know, like you in the chat and stuff, because those are the people who are actually going to read the book. Just, you know, just for fun because it's like a voting thing. All right. I didn't actually realize the time, but it's fine, you know. Just to quickly go on to the thread for the live chat from the Goodreads group. I had it open, but I can't find it, so give me a second. Because I created one specifically for the live chat, so we can read people's thoughts. Okay.
Jess, are we both wearing Toy Story shirts?
Yeah, Pizza Planet. Did you go see the fourth one? I want to see the fourth one so bad.
I've seen the fourth one. It's really, really good, but I love the third one better. But it's
I haven't seen the third one.
You haven't?
I know. No, I know.
You have to see one first.
I know. I'm bad. I need to go see it. I'm like terrified of movie theaters though. So I'm like, where can I find an illegal copy of Toy Story 3 so I can watch it?
I'll send you a copy. It's fine.
I have anxiety and I'm poor.
Same.
Okay, so we have a couple of comments on the Goodreads. thread. So Claire has said that they absolutely love the book. So they know it's not going to be for everyone, and
So she's not in the chat right now because she said that.
Huh?
Her rating. I'm saying so clearly she's not in chat right now.
might be actually. I think she is.
Claire, are you here?
It's Love the Villain because it's the same image. Claire, did you change your mind? Let us know. Have we ruined this for everyone?
Yeah, influential.
I think my favorite character has to be Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
She progressed from a frilly little goody-goody at the school to a kick-ass actress and friend to Jane. She's saying, here I am. I still love it. Yay! I'm honestly really, really glad. Because obviously we don't want to read books that we don't enjoy. So whoever enjoys it is like amazing. I'm glad the girls work through their differences, and I'm also glad that although she doesn't condemn Jane for killing people, she has to. She sticks to her morals and doesn't condone it either. Ooh, good point. As far as favorite scenes go, though, it has to be the bit in Baltimore where the scientist got his face eaten.
Yes.
After having a shambler bite the poor man on stage. Ew.
Oh, the machine! We forgot to talk about the machine that literally powers Summerland, which was the only other cool thing because all I could picture them was as gerbils and one of those giant gerbil wheel things.
Yeah.
That is literally how they power their city. That was the only other thing that I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
Like, as someone who hasn't all read this book, this is very weird. Where was it?
I was waiting for them to escape that hamster wheel. I
Yep.
wanted them to escape that hamster wheel, and then that was what I wanted. And
I want the book
Were
to
they
end.
mechanical?
I want the book to end with that hamster wheel going in the desert. Like that's how it just
Yeah,
fades to
like-
black with all these zombies just in this giant fucking hamster wheel.
yeah, that would have been
Like
so
God.
cool.
My brothers, we are free.
Love the writing style, especially those letters at the header of each chapter. That actually reminded me of Mistborn a bit. They really managed to build up a backstory. Then there's Brittany also saying, wow, this book took me by surprise. I knew I was going to enjoy it as I love a good zombie story, but what sucked me in was the world building and the complex characters. I felt I was right there with Jane and company. I would cringe and get mad right along with them. I was rooting for them from the beginning and cheered every time something went their way.
Yeah, I feel like she wrote villains really well, but didn't really write good characters very well.
Mm-hmm.
She should have. No, I'm not going to tell the author what she should have done. I'm just going to be quiet now.
There's more of a comment, but I'm skipping to this bit. It says, admittedly, the one negative I have is the language used took a bit to get used to, but once that clicked, I flew through the story. I understand why the particular language is used. Outside the language, the writing style was very easy, fast, and enjoyable for me. That being said, I still give this book a 5-star rating. Ooh.
Nice.
Very nice.
We really want people to like the books. We really do.
Obviously. Jerry saying, hands down, I was hooked on this book from the beginning. This caught me so much by surprise. Not going to lie, I had set this book to the side and dreaded reading it. I did not think I would like it. I was so wrong. I really enjoyed the point of view. This is not something I am used to reading. However, I feel this is blended mix of The Help, Gone with the Wind, and The Walking Dead, especially The Walking Dead with the zombies, how to kill the zombies, and the safe town. I enjoyed the writing immensely and thought it really helped me get into the story. I actually felt like I was watching a well-crafted movie in my head the whole time. Ooh. Wow. Imagery was 100% on point for me. I cannot wait for the sequel. I really want to know where all the characters end up. Very nice.
Gay, I hope.
Miss Blue Books said, I enjoyed the book far more than I thought I would. For me, it is a 5-star read too.
Damn.
Seemed that it was really fun to be on Goodreads for this one. My favorite character was probably Gideon.
Oh, I forgot about him, but yeah.
It's just not a character I heard in this one, so like, interesting.
He had a lot of potential, in my opinion.
He did.
Yeah. I really
But
wanted him to betray her. I know that's really mean, but I wanted him to betray them.
Love that.
I thought he was going to be gay. Don't ask me why, but I was like, I think he's going to be gay. But he wasn't. But I thought he was going to, because everybody else apparently is.
It was my wish that he was, but yeah, didn't.
He was super attractive.
Joy is saying they normally don't go for zombie books, but they really enjoyed Dread Nation and they listened to it on audiobook, and the narrator was phenomenal.
That's what I did.
It's
That's
not
probably
big.
why I liked it so much, because I listened to it on audiobook too.
We don't get that here, so.
So, yeah, I saw you guys in chat. Like, none of us can get it. I'm like, why?
I don't know. Some publishers just like have restrictions on where it can be available, which is weird. But yeah, any other thoughts on the book, really?
No. I think I said a lot.
I think I've said too much.
It's fine. I'll just dive in this later. It's fine.
I'm turning into you. I just said it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I am really, really glad that hopefully the majority of the people that read this liked it, and or at least did not hate it. You know?
I enjoyed talking about it though. I might not enjoyed like it that much, but I enjoyed talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much the quarterly club beforehand, no? Like that's pretty much.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys know, but we don't talk about it with each other at all until we get in here. Which is probably why I always go in like,
you always like dislike the books. It's all.
No, I'm always like, it's a 5-star read.
All of the other ones are gonna be like, eh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Finally agreed, and we all finally agreed that a book was okay, and then by the end of it, we all agreed that it wasn't okay.
No, not all. Some people still liked it, so it's good. Yeah. I will leave the link in the description, or maybe in the first comment. I'll pin it in the comment for the voting of the next one as well after this. Thank you so much, guys, for joining everywhere in the chat and in the live. Thank you for our guests.
Yes.
And yeah, I think we're just gonna stop here. Actually, the last question after all of this chat: will you or will you not be reading the second one when it comes out?
Nah.
No.
Maybe.
I'll wait and see what you guys think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You read it and then let us know how it is, and then
Let us know.
yeah.
I will see if the library has it when it comes out. If they don't have it, I won't ask them to get it. But if they do have it, then maybe I'll read it. Just so I can
I'm not reading
whine
it.
about it more. Just so I can text every single one of you updates about the book as I read it. Like, let me tell you what
Oh, yes,
happened.
please.
Yes.
Amber's like, I refuse to give in to peer pressure. Yeah, you go, Amber. You stand strong. Oh, a lot of people will read it. Okay. I want more Gideon.
I want more topless.
Don't we all?
A big maybe. Solid. Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm excited to see what we're going to be reading next time. And it should be at the very end of August or very beginning of September, depending on what Saturday it falls onto. But probably maybe start of September. We'll see. We'll let you know. Thank you so much again for joining. And we'll see you next time. Now it's like bi-monthly, so we don't have to say goodbye for literally 3 months, you know. So yeah. See you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.